Marcus Reed never chased attention, yet attention crashed through his life like a wrecking ball. He was 32, an only child, a mechanical engineer who preferred numbers to noise. He lived in a modest flat, drove a practical car, and held the door for strangers without thinking twice. On an ordinary Thursday morning, one that began with perfectly poured coffee and a neat to-do list, he slipped a velvet ring box into his jacket. That night, he planned to ask Aisha to marry him. He had a promotion, a raise, and a future he could almost taste. The universe felt aligned. Near sunset, he and Aisha dressed for the Meridian Engineering Charity Gala. Black tie, string quartet, rooftop city views. Table cards placed him beside Camille Hartwell, daughter of construction tycoon Gregory Hartwell. Marcus knew Camille only as a pleasant acquaintance from the office lobby. Polite waves, nothing more. Wine flowed, speeches droned. Conversation drifted from supply chain woes to holiday plans. Aisha excused herself to phone her sister. Camille rose for another drink. Marcus followed, hoping to fetch Aisha's favorite Riesling before proposing later by the river. At the bar, Camille teased him about drafting dull-looking blueprints. He joked her neon-designed palettes would bankrupt clients. They laughed a minute, plain and harmless. Aisha returned. Marcus handed her the Riesling. Camille said goodnight, driver waiting, and headed for the exit. A single camera in Camille's lobby clocked 10:12 p.m. Marcus and Camille walked in, still chatting. They shook hands, smiled, and turned separate ways. Marcus through the revolving doors toward Riverwalk Crescent, Camille into the lift alone. What happened upstairs will always feel like fog seen through cracked glass. Somewhere between 10:19 and 10:26, something went wrong on the 17th floor. Red wreck bulbs glowed above every corridor camera, yet none ever recorded a frame. They were dummies, cheap deterrents. Only the lobby unit worked, and at last saw Camille with Marcus. At 11:26, flashing police lights washed marble walls. EMTs kneeled beside Camille, conscious, disoriented, bruised. She muttered fragments, a dark tuxedo, polished shoes, a cologne she half recognized, but details slipped away like water. An officer asked, "Do you know who might have done this?" Camille hesitated. Her gaze drifted to the elevator doors, then the shadows no camera could see. She exhaled a single name, soft, uncertain, more question than answer. Marcus. No follow-up, no clarification. That whisper was enough. Before dawn, detectives knocked on Marcus's flat. He opened the door groggy, still wearing yesterday's tux jacket. They asked where he'd been after leaving the gala. He recited the night. Lobby, Riverwalk, late-night diner, cab home. Nothing extraordinary. They listened, blank-faced, then snapped cuffs on his wrists. Marcus Reed, you're under arrest for felony sexual assault. Aisha watched from a hallway, face pale, barefoot in a t-shirt that read "Love always wins." Marcus tried to speak, but words jammed behind disbelief. By lunchtime, every feed blared his name. Engineer accused of brutal assault on developer's daughter. Hidden predator? What we know. No verdict. Yet the public gavel crashed down. Voicemails flooded. Pastors praying, colleagues stunned, and one trembling message from his mother. Lillian Reed had followed every accolade Marcus earned, but the headline stopped her heart, literally. She collapsed while dialing their pastor, was rushed to hospital with stress-induced arrhythmia. Doctor stabilized her, but her voice on the ward phone was thin. "Baby, tell me this isn't true." "It's not, Mom. I promise." She believed him, because mothers do, but fear ate her strength. A second call came from James Reed, the father who had never quite believed in Marcus's calculated dreams. The father who'd walked out when Marcus was 10 yet phoned now as if entitled to answers. "I always said life would expose your weaknesses," he sighed, half accusation, half disappointment. When Marcus protested, James scoffed. "Courts don't indict saints," and hung up. That was the last they spoke. An emergency bail hearing followed. The prosecution called Marcus a flight risk, a danger, a man who abused the trust of a family friend. The judge denied bail. In county lockup, Marcus stared at cement walls, replaying every detail of the gala. He pictured Camille's smile at the bar, Her joking complaint about overcooked chicken. Nothing dark, nothing ominous. What bridge carried them from harmless laughter to sirens? Work emails turned into termination notice. We regret to inform you your employment is ended to protect corporate reputation. His landlord posted a 30-day eviction. Friends split. Some offered whispered support. More vanished into unread messages. He scrolled headlines until guards seized his phone. Aisha visited once, separated by glass. Her mascara had melted into charcoal rivers. They say they have you on camera, Marcus. Only the lobby, Aisha. I left. They found fibers on her dress. Fibers from a tuxedo jacket. Half the gala wore one. Her hands trembled. I need to breathe. She placed a velvet ring box on the metal shelf and walked away. Marcus didn't call her again. Trial came 6 months later. The gallery overflowed. Journalists, law students, Hartwell allies hungry for spectacle. Camille arrived flanked by attorneys, her father gripping her shoulder. She told jurors she'd known Marcus socially, felt safe with him, turned down his invite for a nightcap, then awoke during the assault, glimpsing a dark tux, smelling familiar cologne, fighting, blacking out. Cross-examination highlighted memory gaps. She admitted she never saw her attacker's face under hallway lights, but the scent and the tux felt like Marcus. Tears rolled. The courtroom held its breath. Marcus testified. He shook Camille's hand in the lobby, walked out, met Aisha by the river at 10:22, Uber receipt, GPS ping. Prosecutor asked if he could have slipped upstairs, attacked, fled down fire stairs, hailed a cab by 10:22. Impossible, Marcus stated. You're an engineer, you understand timing. The prosecutor smiled. A juror shifted, uncertain. Forensics reported partial DNA under Camille's nails, matching 9% of men sharing Marcus's blood type. Prosecutors sold 9% as certainty. Defense pointed to missing hallway footage, untested fingerprints on the stairwell door. But doubt is no match for drama. The jury deliberated 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge's voice boomed like distant thunder. Marcus Reed, 25 years in state prison, no parole. Marcus felt hollowed out. Not rage, not tears, just numbness swallowing sound. Camille collapsed into her father's arms. Reporters sprinted outside for live shots. Chains clinked as deputies escorted Marcus through tunnels to the transport bus, then through Grayson State Penitentiary's iron gates. Inside, rapists ranked as prey. Within a week, Marcus learned that by cracked ribs and split lip. Infirmary stitches him. Guard shrug. He wrote letters. To the DA, to civil rights nonprofits, to journalists. Most returned unopened. He kept a ritual, 1 letter every month, each pleading. Check the stairwell, re-interview staff. No replies. Days bled into one another. Tray lines, head counts, humming lights. Marcus rehearsed the timeline in dreams. 10:12 lobby handshake, 10:18 elevator glitch, 10:22 river text. Over and over, chalk on slate, inside his skull. His mother's weakened heart failed 2 years in. Prison policy denied furlough for funerals. Marcus wept alone beneath buzzing fluorescence, guilt a granite weight on his chest. News of his mother's passing spurred a single postcard from his father. Your choices killed her. Marcus tore it in half, swallowed the fragments of blame. Time dulled everything except doubt, his own and the world's. Even he sometimes questioned memory. Could he have missed a figure lingering behind Camille? Could someone else have followed her? Could the cologne she smelled belong to an entirely different man? On his 5th year, the dayroom TV flashed a headline. Hartwell Construction CEO indicted on fraud, bribery, bid rigging. Gregory Hartwell, once untouchable, now in cuffs. No comment from Camille. Her social media accounts had gone dark. Her name, like Marcus's, had faded from headlines. But in the silence that followed, something shifted. Quiet as a breath held too long. Marcus watched from the back of the day room. He didn't flinch, didn't smile. He just noted the date, folded it into memory, like all the others. That night, rain hammered the prison windows. He lay awake in his bunk, staring at the ceiling cracks he'd memorized like constellations. His mind ran the loop again, 1012 lobby, 1018 elevator, 1022 the river. He wrote another letter. Same recipient, same message. Someone just look again. He sealed the envelope, knowing it might never be opened. But still he wrote it, because truth wasn't dead. It was just buried, shallow, beneath politics, pride, and the stories powerful men wanted to believe. And somewhere out there, whether he knew it or not, the earth above that buried truth had just begun to crack. Marcus Reed had stopped counting the days. The calendar in his cell hadn't been updated in months. Just blank squares and a small X over the day his mother died. In Grayson Penitentiary, he wasn't Mr. Reed or Engineer Marcus. He was inmate 227,984, convicted rapist, marked, judged, and left to rot. Most nights he taught GED classes, algebra and physics, to men who never thought they'd finish high school. It was his quiet rebellion against the label they gave him. He held on to dignity the only way he could, by helping someone else find theirs. But some nights were harder. Some nights brought whispers from other inmates. Whispers like, the judge was bought. That girl's daddy pulled strings. You were the fall guy, weren't you? He never replied. Just stared at the concrete. Let the fire in his gut smolder. In a quiet government building across town, 23-year-old Jessica Moore, a summer intern in the district attorney's office, was cataloging old case files. She had big dreams. Top of her class, LSAT scores perfect, ambition sharp. But for now, her job was to pack aging case folders into digital archives. Boxes piled up like forgotten stories. One of them, battered and dust-covered, burst open on the table. Paperwork spilled everywhere. At the top of the stack was a thick file marked Reed, Marcus A. Closed. Curious, Jessica flipped through. The time stamps didn't line up. An elevator report said the lift stopped unexpectedly at 10:18 p.m., but there was no record of a technician sent that night. And inside the file, tucked between evidence logs, was a maintenance note. Stairwell bar jammed, door left unsecured. None of this had been mentioned in court. Her pulse quickened. She dug deeper. The surveillance footage report said the hallway cameras had captured nothing. But why did a memo from the building's head of security say they'd recently replaced all dummy cams with live units, just a week before the attack? Jessica flagged the inconsistencies and walked to the IT department. Hey, she asked, holding up the report, where's the backup footage? The tech shrugged. Anything older than 3 years gets wiped unless flagged. You're 2 months too late. Then he leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. Also, don't stir too much. This one, it had politics written all over it. Real estate money. That Hartwell name doesn't lose in court. Back in her office, Jessica sat frozen in front of Marcus's photo. His eyes didn't scream guilt. They looked tired, like someone who stopped trying to convince the world of something no one wanted to believe. She opened her browser and typed, Marcus Reed. The headlines returned fast. Engineer convicted of raping heiress Camille Hartwell. No parole for man accused of attacking developer's daughter. Every article showed the same courtroom photo. Marcus in cuffs, Camille with her father behind her. But then Jessica noticed a comment beneath one article, dated 4 years ago. I cleaned that building. That hallway camera wasn't fake. Just saying. The post had no replies. But Jessica copied the username. It was enough to keep going. That evening, Jessica requested a supervised visit to Grayson State Penitentiary. She told the guard she was with the DA's office. In the visitor's hall, she waited behind glass until Marcus walked in. He looked older than 37, gray in his beard, a thin scar over one eyebrow. He sat down and didn't speak at first. She introduced herself. I'm not your attorney, she said, but I'm reviewing old cases. Yours came across my desk. His eyebrows lifted. Barely. I'm not here to give false hope. I had questions. Still quiet. She slid a printed sheet through the slot. His original elevator logs. I think someone missed this. Or hid it. Marcus looked down at the paper. His hands trembled. You're the first person who's listened in 5 years, he said. She nodded. Do you remember anything odd from that night? Marcus took a breath. The hallway. Camille said I was the last person with her. But I left. I walked out the door. You'll see it on the lobby cam. I swear. Jessica narrowed her eyes. What about the fire stairs? He nodded slowly. I told him to check the stairwell door. There was a draft when I left. Felt like it didn't latch. Jessica wrote that down. I'm going to dig more. 3 days later, Jessica returned to the courthouse. An elderly man with a weathered coat approached her as she exited. You Jessica Moore? Yes. I was told to give this to you. He handed her a small black USB drive and walked away. Jessica stared after him. No name, no explanation. Back at her apartment, she booted her laptop and inserted the drive. It held 4 files. One was labeled Cam Lobby 10-12, XX. She clicked it open. There was grainy lobby footage. Marcus entering with Camille, shaking hands, parting ways, then something else. At 10:16 p.m., a hooded man in a dark suit slipped through the side stairwell, his face just out of frame. Jessica's eyes widened. The man wasn't Marcus. The frame was too tall. His gait different. She fast-forwarded. The man returned at 10:26, running, head down. The footage had never made it to court. She opened the last document on the drive. A name, Logan Hartwell, building fob entry log. Jessica's breath caught. That was Camille's brother. The screen faded to black. Jessica Moore spent the pre-dawn hours staring at one frozen frame. A hooded figure stepping from the stairwell at 10:18 p.m. The lobby log said the credential was Logan Hartwell's, and that was enough. Logan had motive, money, and the Hartwell arrogance to think he could get away with assaulting his own sister and framing her friend. Every dot connected clean in Jessica's mind. She printed the fob record, a still of the hooded man, and a copy of Marcus's whistleblowing email chain. She slapped them onto her apartment wall. Like a prosecutor's opening argument, the theory felt airtight. The outrage felt righteous. Morning light crept across her desk as she drafted a memo to the district attorney. Urgent, motion for immediate review. Suspect, Logan Hartwell. She imagined the DA reading it, fingers steepled, then marching into the courthouse to do the right thing. Her optimism lasted exactly 1 subway ride. Detective Ray Lewis met her at a corner diner, coffee already sweating in 2 chipped mugs. He listened while she laid out every point. The lobby clip, the fob swipe, the timing, Logan's link to Marcus's fraud report. When she finished, Lewis slid a manila envelope across the Formica. Open it. Inside were color photos from the gala's live stream. Logan Hartwell on stage beneath glass chandeliers, microphone in hand, presenting a novelty check to the mayor. A digital clock behind him glowed 10:20 p.m. 2 minutes after the elevator stall, smack in the middle of the assault window. Jessica blinked. Deep fake? No, Lewis said. We pulled the video from 3 separate servers. Log files are clean. Logan never left the dais until 10:27 when the auction ended. But his pass could have been borrowed, could have been cloned, could have been handed off downstairs. Lewis sipped his coffee. Either way, your prime suspect was on stage in front of 300 witnesses. The case in Jessica's head fell apart like wet paper. She felt heat rise behind her eyes, equal parts embarrassment and fury. Who would he trust enough to give that pass? Someone with motive and muscle. Lewis lowered his voice. I dug into Hartwell HR records. One name jumped, Evan Hale, fired site supervisor. Signed off on forged safety docs, the same ones Marcus flagged. Jessica searched Hale's name on her phone. Mugshot popped up, broad shoulders, thick neck, hooded brow. The build matched the grainy silhouette. She scrolled further. Assault charge 3 months before the gala, dropped for lack of evidence. Hale also appeared in the security roster, personal driver/enforcer for Logan's after-hours events. Lewis laid another photo down. Parking garage CCTV from the gala. Evan Hale at 9:47 p.m., carrying a garment bag, swiping into employees-only corridors. So Logan gave his pass to Evan, Jessica said slowly, the puzzle reassembling, and paid him to keep Camille quiet. Scare her, so she won't corroborate Marcus about the fraud. Except Hale went far beyond scare, Lewis added, and Logan doubled down to cover it. Jessica's phone pinged. Bank ledgers she'd subpoenaed overnight had arrived. 3 wire transfers, $50K each, to Westmore Consulting, then to Hale's personal account. She almost smiled. The Hartwells laundered money with all the subtlety of fireworks. Yet paperwork alone wouldn't free Marcus. She needed living testimony. First stop, the building's former security chief, Henry Voss, now a night manager at a highway motel. He opened the door in a plastic badge and stale coffee breath. Lewis showed him the printouts. Dummy cams replaced, logs wiped, hush money paid. Voss folded in seconds. Logan said it was a family matter. Voss confessed. Paid me $10,000 to delete the stairwell feed and box the push bar so no text could pull prints. Jessica recorded every word. Next stop, Caitlin Ware, Camille's ex-roommate, the prosecution witness who claimed Marcus was creepy at the gala. Her high-rise condo rent, records showed, had been covered by Westmore for 12 months. Confronted with the lease and payments, Caitlin burst into tears. Logan told me Marcus was blackmailing Camille, she sobbed. He said if I didn't testify, he'd ruin me and my parents. I never even met Marcus before court. She signed an affidavit, voice shaking on video. Piece by piece, the picture cleared. Logan created the setup. Hale executed it. Voss buried it. Caitlin colored it in. Camille, the true victim, had been kept in the dark by her own brother. Jessica compiled everything into a second motion. Fingerprints, payment trails, Voss's confession, Caitlin's recant. She marched it to the DA's office, adrenaline pounding. The deputy DA skimmed, shrugged, and slid it back. These chain of custody issues would crater in court. And Camille's mental state is fragile. Re-traumatizing her would look cruel. Besides, you've got internet clips, not admissible testimony. Jessica's jaw tightened. We have sworn affidavits and physical prints. Marcus Reed has spent 5 years for a crime someone else committed. Emotional arguments won't override political reality, the DA said. This office is not revisiting that conviction. Jessica left, documents clutched tight, world tilting. She dialed Lewis. Stonewalled. We go over their heads, he replied. Public pressure. They anonymized the stairwell video, blurred Camille, pixelated Hale's face. They layered text, badge swipe, Logan Hartwell. Body, unknown. Evidence buried. They edited in Caitlin's voice, pitched down, reading her affidavit. They overlaid Bankwire screenshots with the name Westmore masked. Upload to City Lens investigates took 13 minutes. Jessica paced her apartment until the progress bar flipped to 100%. The internet ignited like dry tinder. Hashtag Who is the Hooded Man trended first, then hashtag Free Marcus Reed. Podcast dissected each frame. A data scientist calibrated stride lengths, concluding the suspect could not be Logan Hartwell. Independent sleuths identified Westmore Consulting as Logan's shell company within hours. Cable news anchors replayed side-by-side stills. Logan on stage, the hooded figure in the stairwell, the alibi and the lurking shadow. Camille Hartwell's PR team issued a statement. Our family is deeply concerned about new information. Logan vanished from social media. Evan Hale's last known address appeared on Reddit within the day. Neighbors posted photos of police knocking on a door no one opened. Lewis called Jessica at midnight. Hale's running. Traffic cam hit his license plate heading west. Good, she said. The more he runs, the guiltier he looks. The next morning, a circuit judge, pressed by the viral storm, scheduled an emergency evidentiary conference. Jessica wasn't invited. Marcus's public defender replacement was. But she emailed every affidavit, print report, and payment ledger to the attorney's inbox. She waited outside the courthouse steps, eyes scanning for any sign of outcome. 40 minutes later, the lawyer emerged, grin stretched thin. Judge ordered the DA to show cause within 7 days why the conviction shouldn't be vacated. We're not free yet, but the wall just cracked. Inside Grayson, Marcus was summoned to the warden's office. The television showed his own face behind a cheering. Wrong man, He sank into a plastic chair as the warden explained the judge's order. Marcus spoke one word. Finally, but freedom still hovered, fragile. Hale was a ghost on highways. Logan was lawyering up, and the DA filed a motion to quash the review. Jessica returned home, opened her laptop, and pressed record. She spoke directly to the camera. 5 years ago, Marcus Reed lost everything. Tonight, I'm releasing the unedited evidence the DA refuses to submit, including logs tying payments from Logan Hartwell's shell company to ex-foreman Evan Hale. If you believe in justice, share this video. Upload, share, retweet. The clip hit 100,000 views before dawn. A journalist from the Morning Ledger called for comment, then an anchor from national news. By noon, a senator tweeted, "If the DA won't act, the Attorney General must." The pressure cooker hissed. The DA relented, announcing a special prosecutor to review the case. Within hours, the special prosecutor subpoenaed Logan Hartwell, Camille Hartwell, and Henry Voss. An arrest warrant issued for Evan Hale, now believed to have crossed state lines. Jessica exhaled for first time in days, then felt the tremor of what came next. Depositions, cross-examinations, Camille's impending heartbreak, Marcus's fragile hope. Night fell with rain tapping her windows like impatient fingers. She closed her laptop, but the glow lingered behind her eyes. Lobby footage, hooded figure, Marcus in chains. She whispered to the dark, "Hold on, Marcus." The door's opening. Miles away, Marcus lay on his bunk listening to the storm. For once, the rain didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a drum roll. Tomorrow the world would know the name Evan Hale. Tomorrow the world would question everything it believed about the Hartwells. Tomorrow, the DA's office would stand before a judge and explain why an innocent man still wore prison blues. Justice moved slow, but tonight, for the first time in 5 years, Marcus Reed felt it moving. The clang of keys, the rattle of chains. Marcus Reed opened his eyes before the guard called his name. Grayson Penitentiary looked the same as yesterday, yet something in the air had shifted. A door, more than iron, was opening. Reed. "Let's go." They handed him civilian clothes. Plain trousers, a collared shirt, a coat that wasn't his. His wrists were still cuffed as he stepped into the transport van. The gates parted. Dawn sliced across his face. 5 years. 26 letters to the DA. 3 broken ribs. 1 funeral missed. And at last, the world seemed to move with him, not against him. The courthouse buzzed like a hive. Protesters crowded the steps. Free Marcus. Justice delayed is justice denied. Hold the Hartwells accountable. Inside, Jessica Moore sat beside Detective Ray Lewis. Cameras perched like owls along marble walls. Marcus entered flanked by deputies. He stood taller than he ever did in a cell, tired but whole. In the gallery, a familiar figure turned, Aisha. Her eyes welled the moment their gazes met. Older now, regret etched deep into her features. Marcus gave no nod, just a quiet blink, then looked away. A special prosecutor faced the bench, voice steady and devastating. "Your Honor, Mr. Reed's conviction relied on coerced testimony, tampered surveillance, suppressed fingerprints, and a bribery trail originating with Logan Hartwell. This case was not mishandled. It was sabotage." Pen scratched. The room rustled. Screen showed the hooded stairwell figure, Logan's past logs, audio of Logan warning Evan Hale to scare her. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Where's Mr. Logan Hartwell?" "Refused to appear, Your Honor." Invoked the 5th. "And Mr. Hale?" "In federal custody, arrested attempting to enter Canada." The judge turned to Camille Hartwell. Camille rose, gray suit loose on trembling shoulders. "I was attacked," she whispered. "I never saw a face. I remembered a tuxedo, a cologne. Marcus was the last person I spoke to, so I believe what they told me. I was wrong." Tears streaked. "I'm sorry." She faced Marcus. He absorbed the apology without blinking, then turned to the bench. "Mr. Reed, do you wish to address the court?" Marcus stood, no tremor, only quiet gravity. "I lost everything. My mother, my fiancé, my name, years I can't reclaim. I don't want revenge. I want restoration. Justice is an outrage. It's patience, truth, and care. He glanced at Jessica, then briefly at Aisha. I forgive Camille. I even forgive Logan. But I will not forget, and neither should this court. Silence flooded the chamber. The judge cleared his throat. This court finds overwhelming exculpatory evidence. The conviction of Marcus Reed is vacated. All charges dismissed. Mr. Reed, you are free to go. Flashbulbs erupted. Some clapped. Others cried. Outside the courthouse, Marcus sat on the marble steps while reporters swarmed elsewhere. A soft voice spoke. Marcus. Aisha stood, tears sliding. I didn't know how to face you, she said. I never stopped hoping, but I was afraid. I was afraid, too, Marcus replied. But I was alone. Maybe we could talk. Try again, dinner at least? Long silence. I loved you, Aisha, but I needed you to believe when it mattered. You didn't. That part of us is gone. Her lips parted, found no words. I wish you peace, he added gently, then turned down the steps, into a city suddenly vast with possibility. Aisha remained frozen. No anger, no defiance, just the stillness of a chapter that would never reopen. Wind brushed the grass around a modest headstone. Lillian Reed, beloved mother. Marcus knelt, placing a single white lily. They finally listened. Mom, I'm free, but I miss you. He closed his eyes. The breeze felt like her hand through his hair. Marcus thumbed through envelopes. Engineering firms, universities, nonprofits. We'd be honored to have you on our team. An invitation to speak at a legal reform summit. Opportunity post on every page. Jessica slid into the opposite seat, 2 coffees in hand. Job market looks good, she teased. I don't know where to start. Start anywhere, she said. Just don't stop. Marcus exhaled. Thank you, Jessica. You changed everything. She shook her head. You kept writing. I just read. They shared a quiet, contented smile, not romance, but respect forged in fire. Camille arrived with her attorney, eyes red. A cashier's check lay on the table. My family's settlement, she said. Whatever figure you want, it's yours. Marcus pushed the check back. No amount of money buys back time or my mother's last years. Keep it. Use it for victims who don't get cameras. Camille's chin trembled. I don't know how to make this right. Start by telling the truth every time someone asks. He stood, leaving her to the silence money couldn't fill. City lights glittered below. Marcus inhaled cool air free of disinfectant and despair. Freedom didn't resurrect the lost, but offered something fragile and fierce. Tomorrow, he closed his eyes. Wind pressed against his face like a promise. No guards, no chains, no cell door clanging shut. Just breath, and the weight he'd carried for 5 years, finally beginning to lift. A notification buzzed on his phone. Another offer, another open door. He slipped the device into his pocket, stepped toward the rooftop exit, and descended into a world that had almost forgotten him, until he reminded it what truth could do. Let this not just be Marcus's victory. Let it be a reminder that justice delayed is still justice waiting. That one buried truth in the hands of the right person can burn through silence. The world doesn't change itself. We do.